Hi you guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. It is Julia Creations. I'm back with another video. If you're new to my channel, guys, hi, welcome in. My name is Julia Creations. I'm a budget coach that makes budgeting easy and simple for you. And if you're returning, welcome back to my channel, you guys. Hello. Hi guys, in today's video we're going to be talking about a topic that is very normalized in budgeting that I feel like we need to talk about. Sorry guys, I got the hiccups for a second. Something that goes on in budgets that happens so frequently that you don't even know that you're doing it, which is going to be the trap of putting things on our credit cards and not noticing that we're not putting those things in our budgets. So for example, I had so many times where I'll speak to clients or I do one-on-one calls. If you guys don't know, I also teach people how to budget on one-on-one calls as well. And I've had so many clients get into this habit of putting all their subscriptions on a credit card, putting bills on credit cards, and then they forget to incorporate those bills into their budget. So what happens is those credit cards builds balances, right? So imagine you're putting all this stuff on your credit card and you're not necessarily just paying it off because in your mind you're just like, oh, I'm just going to pay the minimum on the credit card, but then eventually that balance gets so high and it builds up. So we're going to talk about how to incorporate those things into your budget and look at your credit cards and see what you're putting on those balances, and we're going to compare the budget. When we do that, we're going to do a monthly budget, and I'm going to show you what your month looks like and how that credit card displays, and then I'm going to show you the right way to budget this. So great video, you guys. We're going to get straight into it. Alright, you guys, so the first thing we're going to do is set up our monthly budget, and this budget is going to be for December. We're paid weekly, so it's going to be a weekly example, but it doesn't matter if you're paid weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly. This is going to be a great video to watch. And we're bringing in $750 each week after tax. $750 times 4, we're bringing in about $3 grand a month. Our goal is to control credit card spending. Okay, that's what our goal is going to be. Now we're going to go ahead and write down our expenses. So we want to see what's coming in versus what's going out for the complete month. Alright, you guys, so we're going to go ahead and write down our fixed bills. These are going to be our bills that are usually the same every single month. We have rent that comes out on the 1st for $1,200. We got our electric bill that comes out on the 3rd, which is going to be $150. We have our Wi-Fi bill, which is going to be $60. Then we have our phone bill, which is going to be $80. And then we have our car insurance on the 23rd. For $145. Okay, so here's all of our bills that we have for the month. $1,200 plus $150 plus $60 plus $80 plus $145. We total about $1,635 on bills. Okay, now this is the bills that we have documented. So we're going to get more into this other aspect in a minute, you guys. But those are the bills that we have documented, okay? Now we're going to go ahead and write our variable expenses. This is where you're going to put your groceries, your gas, your eating out, all of that stuff on this side of your budget. On here, on the variable section, okay? So let's go ahead and set up our variables. Let me make sure the camera's focused. Okay. So for our variables we have here, we have groceries for $350. We have gas for $120. Miscellaneous / spending for $200. And then our credit card balance this month is $530. And this is the balance on here. Okay, and we want to use that credit card and pay it off each month, but we're going to talk about why this is a problem in a second. So let's go ahead and add up our variables. 350 plus 120 plus 200 plus 530 brings this to $1,200. Our variables at $1,200. All right, 1,200 plus 1635 is going to put us at $2,835 in expenses for the month. Okay, so you guys are seeing this and you're probably like, oh my gosh, Jalea, well, that seems like a normal budget. We just use our credit card and pay it off. But let me tell you why this is going to be an issue, and we're gonna fix this. So the problem that falls into this, before we do that, let's find our cash surplus. So the cash surplus is going to be the money we have left over after bills and expenses. So if we're bringing in $3 grand a month and $2,835 is going out, how much of this are we actually saving each month? 3 grand minus $2,835, we're saving about $165. Some of you guys may be like, oh my gosh, that's more than what I save a month. But this is what the problem is. You could be saving more, because what are we putting on these credit cards is the problem and the issue that we're running into, right? So let's say on this credit card, we're putting miscellaneous spending. This is spending, eating out, you have bills and subscriptions. Okay, so this is everything that's piling up on this credit card, right? So let's say you're not paying this credit card off in full, and let's say it's a $50 minimum, but this minimum, you're leaving this $530 balance on there and it keeps piling and you're just paying the minimum, right? So let's say these bills or this spending is coming out and it's reoccurring, right? So let's say $530 times 3 months just keeps happening. There's $1,590 that you have spent in 3 months of this reoccurring, on top of the interest if you're just paying the minimum. Let's say you had an emergency that come up and you can't pay this full balance off. This is why we need to figure out what we're doing on this credit card to make a difference. So now let's go back and let's say we looked at the budget. We're gonna go look and see what we're putting on these credit cards, okay? We're gonna go and write it down. All right, you guys, so this is the fun and humbling part. This is where you're going to audit out your credit card, okay? So according to our credit card balance, we have $530. So $530 is reoccurring each month on our credit card. So we're gonna put on credit card each month. So we want to see what is reoccurring that's making this $530 come, and is there something that we can put in our budget to make this stop. All right, so let's say out of this $530, we have our water bill. So $120 of that is going towards the water bill. That's not being accounted for in your budget. And then we have subscriptions that are not being accounted for in your budget. We have $70 worth of subscriptions. Let's say we also have Apple Pay, just spending money on Apple Pay, miscellaneous Apple Pay spending. You're just swiping that Apple Pay. Okay, Apple Pay spending. And then we have $90 for just Afterpay or whatever that we set up with the budget. So Afterpay slash online, online spending. We'll just say Afterpay because I like made that look terrible. I put one spending under online, but anywho. And then random just eating out. We're spending $140 on eating out. Okay, so what does this total to? 120 plus 70 plus 110 plus 90 plus 140. Our reoccurring purchases are $530 being used on the credit card. Okay, so when you go back and look at your budget, is any of this stuff budgeted out, and can we put it in our budget? So as you can see, we have a miscellaneous and spending, but we're just randomly spending the card, right? This happens so often where you just use your credit card and you're playing catch up, right? So you're like, oh, I'm gonna use a credit card, and then all those transactions add up, and the next thing you know, you have a $530 balance and you're trying to incorporate that. So instead of doing our budget this way, where we have our credit card, we're going to break this credit card down into what we're putting on the credit card. We're going to take it from the income we're receiving. So that way it's not a credit card balance every single month and we're playing catch up. So we're going to have an eating out budget. We're going to have a budget for our water bill. So this is, you can still put this stuff on your credit cards. I am a firm believer of putting your subscriptions on your credit cards, but put that subscription in your budget and then pay it off the credit card. So for example, we're going to go through and redo this budget, and we're going to budget it the correct way. So this way you're not having a credit card balance each month. You're having a purpose for that money each month broken down, okay? So we're going to go ahead and go to a new month, and we're just going to do our budget over again. So we're going to go to this section, and we're going to set up how our budget should look for the month. All right, so now what we're going to go ahead and do, this is the month of December. Our goal is to get better with credit card. And we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to do our same thing. So we're paid weekly. $750. Bringing in $3,000 after tax. Okay, $3,000 is coming in after tax. Now let's go ahead and write down all of our expenses. So we got 12.1, we have rent again, $1,200. On the 3rd, we have electric again for $150. On the 15th, we have Wi-Fi, which is $60. 18, we have our phone bill for $80. And then on the 23rd, we have our car insurance for $145. And then remember on this sheet where we were looking at our notes page, we had our water bill, we were putting this on our credit card. Let's say that our water bill was falling on a weird time where we weren't paid, so we were using it on our credit card, but we weren't paying it off. So let's say your water bill fell on the day on the paycheck where you don't have really any money left over, so you go ahead and you're using that credit card, right? So we were putting it on the credit card, but then at the end of the month, we're not really wanting to pay off the credit card in full because we feel like we still don't have the money, or we're getting scarcity with our money. So we're going to go ahead and put that water bill in the budget and move the date around. Okay, so move date, and you'll just make sure that's set up nicely in your calendar. Okay, now here's all of our bills. So now let's go ahead and do our variable section now for this category. And remember, our variables are going to be our groceries, our gas, our eating out, any of our stuff on here. And also, I do want to keep in mind on the previous budget, we had a spending budget of $200. But because we're using that credit card, we're not putting that spending as in our budget like we should. We're just spending the credit card and using it like it's another form of income. So that's why we want to break those habits, you guys, and audit it out and see what we're spending. Okay, so for variables, we're going to do groceries. Groceries are going to be $350, and then gas, we average about $120 a month. Miscellaneous / spending, we're going to keep that at $200. That's our budget for that category. All right. So instead of credit cards, because we're still going to use our credit card, but we're going to treat our credit card like a debit card based off the stuff we have in our budget. For our subscriptions, we're going to set up our own category for subscriptions. For subscriptions on the credit card, we were spending $70 and we weren't adding that to our income that's coming in. So we're going to put subs as $70. All right. Another thing that we were doing too was, according to our notes, we had our Apple Pay just randomly using our card, so that's going to go a part of our spending. And then we had Afterpay too. We'll basically cover that with that month and then be done with that, so we don't have to worry about that. So then we're going to go ahead and do a self-care, because we were using some of that money for self-care and cosmetics or personal care stuff on top of the spending. So we're going to do a self-care for $100, so that's a part of our budget. And then we're going to do eating out. Since we spent $140 on eating out, we're going to set up an eating out budget that's not going to be hidden on our credit cards. All right, so that way we're not impulsively using our credit cards. We have a budget set up for these numbers. All right, you guys, now let's go ahead and compare the savings this time around versus when we did our budget where we had that credit card balance, because it makes a big difference. This is the main thing I want you guys to see. So I hope you watch this video in full, because this is the most important part. So now we're going to compare our spending and our income versus the budget where we had a credit card balance, and this is where it's going to be different. So we have $1,200 plus $150 plus $60 plus $80 plus $145 plus $120. For our fix, we spend $17.55, which is still pretty similar to our other bill. We just added the water bill into the budget instead of the credit card. $350 plus $120 plus $200 plus $70 plus $100 plus $80. We're spending about $920 on variables. All right, $920 plus $17.55 is going to be $26.75 for our expenses. That is a big difference compared to what we had here. If you go back and look at our budget, we were at $28.35 and we only could save $165. So let's go ahead and do the math now. And we have a category instead of just impulsively using that credit card. So let's go ahead and take our $3,000, which is our income that we brought in, and we're going to minus it from the $26.75. $3,000 minus $26.75 is going to be $325 left over. That is basically $325 minus $165 is about $160 difference. And then we have categories for the things that we want, so that credit card isn't just racking up a balance every single month. Okay, so now another disclaimer that I want to put is this doesn't mean that we can't stop using, that we have to stop using our credit cards. I am in no shape or form telling you do not put any of this on your credit cards. If you guys have watched any of my videos, I always say use your variables on your credit card. The only difference is use this cash or use your money as a you're going to use those credit cards as a debit card. So for example, if you want to keep those subscriptions on that credit card, just make sure you're taking the $70 out and you're putting it on that credit card for the payment. That way it's just not a recurring balance. For your self-care, if you're going to get self-care, you'll put that $100 on your credit card and then take that $100 out of your money that was budgeted. What happens is a lot of people think that these are separated expenses, right? So we have subscriptions that are on your credit card and you're not counting that. You're just saying, okay, well, I'm gonna pay the $25 minimum, but if you have $70 worth of subscriptions, $70 each month is going to keep reoccurring on that credit card. So this is why we want to budget those factors in so that doesn't happen. So as you can see, it makes a big difference in your budget. I'm only going to do the monthly budget for this example just because I wanted to show you guys how you navigate this through your finances. So you're going to go through, look at your budget that you have now, put your credit cards, how much you're spending on credit card minimums or your credit card balances, and then break down and audit what's going on in that credit card so you can see if there's a way you can implement this in your budget or change it. This way you're not doing careless spending on your credit cards and then you're working to pay that off every single month. So that's how we do that, you guys. Thank you again for watching this video. I hope it was helpful. Let me know in the comments if you're going to do this audit and let me know how it goes. And I will see you guys on my next video. Bye.